Are you looking for a Christmas card idea that is easy to mass produce but also uses up some pattern paper? Hi, I'm Jess from JessCrafts.com and I'm here to help you make the most of your crafty supplies and time. So let's get making. Today I have some new products from Tim Holtz and Sizzix, so thank you to scrapbook.com for sending these to me. And I am going to be making a Christmas card that you can mass produce, and actually you could probably make it a holiday card because the dies that I'm using in particular are just like pine tree patterns, so it's just kind of a winter card. You could kind of give it whatever slant you want, but my sentiment makes it holiday today. I'm going to take some scrapbook.com cardstock, and these dies from Tim Holtz, it is the pine patterns. They're actually just embossing dies. They only emboss, they do not die cut. And I'm going to be mixing it with a word that does die cut for a mass-produced card by placing my dies down one time and being able to use it multiple times as my end result. So I picked this Fa La La die from scrapbook.com. Use whatever one you want. And I think you could do this with other small dies in your collection, but these are embossing as opposed to die cutting. So I am actually going to be able to run this all through my machine at the same time. If you had dies that you wanted to emboss, but you did not want to, like you want to emboss them, but then you still want to do the die cut word thing that I'm going to do, you're going to need to use two different mats. So you're going to need to run it through your die cut machine 2 different times. You're going to need to do an embossing technique. But today I'm going to show you how I do it with these dies that are meant to be simply embossed. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about how we might alternately do this. Okay, so I'm going to basically just try to arrange my dies around my word such that it's like framing it really nicely and it's coming in tight on it. And that's what I like about this versus like an embossing folder, is this is going to let me choose where I want to put all of these details. So I'm going to take my 4-inch mint tape from scrapbook.com, and we're going to get to use this over and over again so I don't feel bad about using like a whole bunch of tape at one time, and press it on top of all of our dies so that they're now one unit that are easily, then I can send this through my die cut machine one time and get my final result, and then I can peel it off and use it again and again and again without having to rearrange those dies. To make sure I got a really good impression, I ran it through my die cut machine twice. I have a Gemini Junior, and I used just a thick piece of cardstock. It's a little bit of a shim just to add a bit more pressure. Something that I appreciate is Sizzix does explain on every single set of dies like how to use them, what sandwiches with their machines if you have a Sizzix machine, which I do have a Big Shot and it still works well. I didn't have it, wasn't using it at the time. So I'll show you the result. It's embossed on there. It's super, super subtle. You can leave it like that if that is what you want to go for, but these are Tim Holtz dies. So I think we need to bring in some distress ink. I have a waffle flower stencil mat, and scrapbook.com has a mat they came out with recently that really works similar to this and helps to keep things in place. So that's a great option too, but this is the one that I have, and I want to really get ink into the embossed areas. I picked peeled paint, and this scrapbook.com cardstock is from their Christmas stack, so it's the lighter of the 2 green colors in the Christmas stack, and I basically wanted to pick an ink that wasn't too much darker, just a little bit darker than the paper that I was working with, so that I would continue to keep a really subtle look, and the parts that weren't inside the embossed areas weren't going to get a whole lot darker. You'd be thinking, well, if you're doing all that inking, that does take quite a bit of time. Is this really a very fast card? Well, I would say, considering that you can then die cut a whole bunch of times, because this is all kind of still attached with this really nice 4-inch mint tape, and that you could do all of your inking really quickly at the same time too. I think it would work out to be pretty quick. What I want to do to finish off the card and to use a bit of pattern paper, because I think we all collect a lot of Christmas pattern paper but don't always use as much as we collect, is I'm going to place this on top and let the pattern paper show through the word. So my pattern paper piece is 4 by 5 1/4 because I'm going to put it on an A2 size card, and that'll leave a 1/4 inch border. So there you go. And then I want that pattern paper to show through around the edges and the word. So I cut it a 1/4 inch smaller. Therefore it is 3 3/4 by 5. And now here's where it could get time consuming, is if I want to put all of those little pieces back inside. You, I think, could skip this step. You could leave out the pieces. I think it's actually pretty clear that it says fa la la la. I know that's not for everyone. Totally cool. You can go in and glue them. You could also think about picking a sentiment that doesn't have nearly as many little bits that need to go back in. Confession, I don't even actually always use the word to help me line them up perfectly. Eyeballing it's usually fine and a little bit faster. So if you're concerned about making your cards a little more quickly, maybe instead of adding the word back in and perfectly lining everything up, as you can see, I got it pretty close just by thinking about where it probably went, and that could save you some time. I briefly wanted to share how you could do this if you didn't have special embossing dies and you just had standard dies. This is a little hard to see, but I embossed some scrapbook.com butterflies around this word. I would have preferred if they were a little bit more deeply embossed, but I'm just going to demonstrate the concept of it for you. So you'll take your die cut words, you'll die cut them out separately. I like to put them on tape, especially because I'm using alphabet dies, so that I can use them continuously, just like I was with the larger set of dies for the Christmas card. But now I have to separate these out into 2 steps because this is going to go through the die cut machine as a die cut. Sorry about the band-aid on my finger there. But then I need the separate layer for embossing. So now I have my dies and I need a special embossing mat. And so I'm going to put this on my die cut machine so that when it goes to cut them, it will be cutting into this rubber and there won't be enough pressure and it will emboss instead. So this is a special embossing mat you can get for your die cut machines, and then I'll get the same look but just with some slightly different products in case the embossing dies are not something you have on hand or you're quite ready to invest in, although they are gorgeous. If you found this video inspiring, here's another video where you can find more ideas for enjoying your crafty time and supplies. Let me know that you like this video with a share to your crafty community. Subscribe and click the bell so you don't miss the next template or tutorial, and check the video description for product links. See you in the next video.